14 last year, January 19th. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're good. Okay. Wow. 5 days, January 9th, 2023, we have a forum. Ms. McElwain will lead us in a pledge, allegiance, and followed by Mr. Skinner and communication.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're definitely honored. We just want to say thank you for allowing us to come here tonight and represent our school, our community, and our students. All that we do here and say tonight, we honor the leaders.
I need a motion to approve send out represented minutes of regular board meeting on December the 12th, 2022. I'd like to make a motion. Mr. Crawford,
I second it, Mr.
second by
President.
Mr. McElwain. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have our A+ employee, Mr. Spike.
Once, at the end of every 6 weeks, we try to recognize an employee that's going above and beyond their call of duty. And this particular 6 weeks, we have Ms. Rashonda Smith. And I've had the opportunity to work with her personally when she was at the middle school. And she's put, I can truly say, definitely been a team player over the years, from a coach, from a teacher, a good teacher, to a coach, and also being a role of moving up to a counselor, and also obtaining her assistant principal, being able to assist in that role also. So the recommendation based upon the things of tutoring, filling in for substituting when they need to, some teachers out going in classrooms, making herself readily available, but also the nurturing and making kids feel safe, wanted, especially at that level where it's definitely needed. And that is a big adjustment when you taught at the secondary level, because there's a difference between secondary and the lower levels, and I'm more of a secondary person. So you got to have that nurturing and going and all, and she's adjusted very well. And we want to take the time to recognize her for going above and beyond for the things she continues to do, not only for this district in the past, but continue doing it at other campuses at elementary. We want to take the time to recognize her for doing an excellent job and being an A+ employee of Taylor United States. Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, I have to have a building.
Right, you need something?
Watch it.
You definitely taking your bill, ain't you, too, so. You gotta get us out. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate you.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, I do want to say one thing. We appreciate you with the transitioning with Marcus and all that, helping out in the meantime, in between, after, and all that stuff. So
Without a doubt.
I appreciate that. So
Thank you.
again, thank you. Have a good evening. All right, next item is recognition of you guys and gals. And so as you see in front of you, you will have, as the theme is, forward together. And you have some arrows pointed on the bottom two boards. The bottom one is middle school. The wooden one is elementary. On top is your race car with your little track that the kiddos made down at the primary school. Some of y'all have a straw. I guess you blow into that straw and it kind of pops up.
Balloon.
Yeah, balloon, that's what I meant. Yeah, balloon. So, but all this is made from the primary school kiddos. And then on top of is our high school shop class, and they have made y'all's nameplates.
That is cool.
So, you know, and I think just kind of go real quick. Let's see. Mr. Smith, this is your first year. Mr. Skinner, you were elected in May of 2014. You got 9 years. Crawford, you got 10. You were elected in May of 2013. Ms. Amick, you got 13 in June of 2010. Ms. McElwain, May of 2002 is 21 years. And Mr. Williams, you got 2000, you were elected 2001 and you got 22 years. So that kind of brings us to our longest tenured board member. Mr. Spy, how many years did your dad have on the board?
32, I think.
32. Well, he and I were having a little discussion last year when he became president, and I said, well, you're coming up on your 30th year. And he said, well, this is my 30th year. And I said, you sure about that? Yeah. So when I went back and looked at the books, you were, May of 1992.
Mm.
Wow.
And so you are actually finishing up your 30th year because TASB starts May to May. Most of us think school year. That's how Mr. Byland, Mr. Bite and I, we're all school year. We're not May to May. But TASB does May to May. And so you will, I guess, have completed 31 years this May and everything. So on behalf of Tatum ISD, got you a little song for 30 years.
Randy, can you take a photo? That's awesome.
So you've been a part of 6 bonds. And most of y'all have been a part of that if you were in here in 2000, totaling over $72 million.
Wow.
Didn't know if y'all knew that. So hats off to each and every one of you. And you served as a board officer for, we'll go 15 years and 5 months. So you've been a board officer, you've been a board president, vice president. No, you have not been a vice president. You've been a secretary, not a vice president. So they saw leadership in you right away, and you got to skip over the VP spot
Yeah.
and became president.
We'll have to fix that.
Yeah.
Vote on the officers.
So
How many
again,
times did you do Ted to
Get a
begin
photo of him? Here's the with the tea, the sign that tea would be great.
all right, but again, thank y'all for your service. Next is our ESSER survey report. Each year, every 6 months, we have a survey that's going online. We get the responses. They represent our teachers, our student population. And this one addressed the student learning loss, results of strategies, resources in place, and how to support the social and emotional needs of our students. And click on this real quick. As you see here, I don't know if y'all can read that or not. But here's the people that your role in the district. You feel your child's made progress this past semester. And then they have comments out here. Which of the following social emotional strategies have been the most helpful? And you can read that when you have an opportunity. So again, survey, we have to do this for ESSER. Our ESSER funds run out fall of 24. And so we'll have to do these surveys every 6 months. So very pleased with the survey results once again, as we looked at them 6 months ago as well. Next item we have is our budget update.
Okay, we'll just look at a couple things here. This is this year's budget that we adopted. If you'll notice, when we adopted it back in August, there was a negative $770,000 deficit budget that we adopted. That deficit has gone down, which is a good thing, so the negatives, it's a better negative. If you scroll down, like Rich and I'll explain why that's the case. So, this is, you can't see it on the side here, just make it see it on the computer, but this is basically the interest that where the rates, where they're at, I was anticipating a budget of about $30,000 of revenue. But now with interest rate right now, last month we got 4%, which is a lot better than it's been in the past. And so I'm raising that to probably estimate to be around 90,000 by the end of the fiscal year. And so that's one reason why we're getting our budget in a better place. The next thing is I was expecting about a $50,000 setup with our SHARS, or Medicaid, Medicare reimbursement. But in fact, we are going to get $72,000 back from a setup. And we hire a third-party administrator to handle that SHARS reimbursement. And so they basically fight for every dollar we can get. And so they've got us $72,000. So there is one thing we would like to talk about. These are third 6 weeks numbers. So that first number is our FSA, the Foundation School Program, FSP rather. The second number is basically our available school fund. So that's our state aid. It's been a drop of about $61,000 since the third 6 weeks. Since the second 6 weeks. And so if you'll scroll down a little bit, past the fund balances, this is the reason why the state aid has kind of dropped a little bit over the 1 6 weeks. Enrollment's going down a little bit, attendance rate's going down a little bit. That's historical data. It's pretty consistent. We had a lot of kids sick there right before the break, and therefore our ADA went down. That's the first 6 weeks down to the second 6 weeks down to the third 6 weeks. So that's a fluid number. It could go back up toward the end of the year from an enrollment standpoint, from attendance rate going back up. That'll obviously drive the ADA up, and it'll drive that state aid hopefully back up to be a wash. But that's something that we won't know till summer submission of our opinions. But as a whole, I put our fund balance based on this past audit. I'd like to keep just a running total of that, just have it handy. But hopefully, our budget will go in that same direction. Now, that's if we spend every single dime, obviously, and we haven't done that in the past. But and that does include a budget amendment we made early on this year for the $78,000 of the switches that Wes is taking care of for us. That does include that.
Any questions? Just kind of want to give you an update. Legislature starts tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow.
Yep. And so there's been some talk of doing enrollment versus ADA, pros and cons to that. We listened to something today. Smiling I did on that. I don't think the commissioner's for that aspect of it right now. So talk today was, you've been hearing 28 billion. Apparently there's going to be a 3 in front of it as a surplus. So we expect there to be some basic allotment changes, which in House Bill 3, that jumped up, golly, almost 1,000.
Yeah.
And
We'll go over that next meeting.
okay.
We'll go over. So next meeting, like he's talking about, there are some scenarios where the basic allotment goes up $100, $150, $200, and then we'll also talk about the safety grant. How they're going to do the safety grant. Is it going to be for ADA or for campus? And these are all things they're going to talk about during this session, which we're not going to know what's going to be the final decision until probably August. But I'll go through the scenarios next meeting.
And, more than likely, what we heard today, the basic allotment is going to have vouchers tied to it. Because they know they need to do basic allotment, and so they're going to tie the Senate's going to tie the voucher bill to it. That's what they warned us today about with the finance stuff. So it'll be another fun, painful session once again. So, but I wanted to give you an update. Last year we didn't give updates except just periodically. So we're gonna try each month to kind of update you on what the latest runs are, with it being a legislative session, because it changes all the time.
So what did you say the projected budget surplus is?
Over $30 billion. Right now, they've been saying 26 or 27, I think, billion. But today, he said there would be a 3 in front of it, maybe mid threes. So pretty good chunk. But a lot of it, number one, on the governor, he has not released his, I guess, his wish list. That goes first. They work on that. Property taxes will be the first thing that will have to, they not put 15 billion on that to drive down the property taxes. That's his number one thing, I would imagine, when he releases his, what he would like. And that's what they work on first, and they work on everything else after that. So, that's all we know. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
See you.
Yes, sir.
Moving on into a public hearing for discussion of the Texas Academic Performance Report for 2021-22. Will actually be taken.
Yep. Every year we do the taper report. Most of this information you have seen because, again, I give you a lot of the data when we get our grades and our scores in the fall. A couple of things are new, so I'm going to kind of skim over that part for time purposes, the stuff we've already looked at. But there's 8 areas, basically sections in the taper report, and these are what we look at every single year. So, as you know, it looks mainly at student assessment data. It can be your staff data and all that. So if you want to know basically how many students we have in this ethnicity, you want to know how this campus scored, you can click on the link and see all that. And we've gone over most of that in our goal 2 when we went over that earlier in the year. So I will spare you that time. There's our link to them. Just kind of give you an idea. This is where we stood last year, being ethnicity of our students, our staff, and that's something that Fight and I look at a lot, making sure that we're try to mirror our student population, but also try to be above that as well. When we do hiring, that's something that he does a great job of in looking at that. I think what I really like here is our 11 to 20 years and 21 to 30. That means, we've got a very veteran staff. It's not like a bunch of brand new staff members, which I think that can lead to our success too that we've had in the past. There's our student enrollment last year, 53.9 economically disadvantaged. This is our ESL. They changed the language to emergent bilingual. It's 16.1. African American 16.8. Hispanic 33.7. That number is growing. And white 45.7. And so our enrollment actually has stayed around the same the last 2 years. And then we have our financial data, which, as you know, we go through this during our finance portion of our goal. We just talked about our fund balance. So I'll spare that as well. Accreditation. There's no accreditation. There hasn't been in the last couple of years due to COVID, but this next year we will have accreditation and everything. And, our campus improvement plans, the board approved those, October was when that was approved. Our report on violent criminal incidents. This is one report that we do every year also. And we'll do this. Mr. Pike compiled this today. The only difference is this was up a little bit. and involved, I believe the fighting was up. This particular category, let me blow this up a little bit. And Mr. Fight, you're welcome to interject. A lot of it has to do with the vape. I
Right.
would have, and what they have in that vape, that can lead to a felony.
And those are the two that are on there at the middle school, were the two students who had the THC liquid, or, which is a felony from the get-go. And it increases because it's on school campus, so it's pretty much pure THC, and content is so much higher than the regular, I guess you could say if a student had a bag of weed at the high school, it brings a higher consequence and a higher, a grade.
So just kind of, y'all look at this, but it is up a little bit from, I believe it was 37 was our total last year. The main thing was fighting and, of course, this area right here, and a lot of it has to do with the vapes.
That's great that bullying is zero.
We have a process in place that Mr. Fight has done a great job on, and it's a pretty good stack of paperwork that a principal has to go through and fill out when the B word's mentioned.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people think that's bullying, and it might not fit that definition.
Right.
So. When a student graduates, the following year, they're tracked to see how they do in school. And so this was a piece of data. So they have not come out with last year's yet. This is still the previous year. But you'll see kids that graduated in 2019 and enrolled in 20. This is after their fall and spring semester. This is where they Tatum ISD students fail. So 15 is a 4-year, 44 being a 2-year. There's none. And you can kind of see the GPAs. And you might be thinking, that sure is a low number, but when I started looking at other districts as well, they're low too. So, because I thought, well, that's kind of odd that you got 119 and we really only got 15 kids that go to a 4-year public university. But that number's pretty common across, even when you look at Longview ISD, you think of those graduates with 300 or 400 kids graduating, you would think that number, but it's not.
So that's Mac's year that he graduated. Okay, so is he counted in the 2-year because he was at Panola?
If that was his first year,
That was his first year.
he would be counted in the 2-year.
Yeah.
And we don't always look at this report, and I thought, that's kind of interesting
Mhm.
to see, all of us.
But how many kids actually responded?
Well, that isn't responding, that's in the system,
Okay,
Texas. Now, if they go like Landon went to LSU.
Yeah.
Probably even gonna show up on
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably, and there's a classmate of mine that went to.
Yes, enrolled in
Washington.
it. Texas public or independent higher education.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Baylor would be on there and everything, but if you go out of state, Louisiana Tech, not gonna show up on here. So. Lafayette, Arkansas, you got one guys that won't show up.
That's true.
And then House Bill 3 goals, we met this summer. And when we did our board training this summer, we all adopted our new board goals, our House Bill 3 goals. And we'll recap those at the end of the year and give a review on those. And the last part was the glossary. And I think that's it. I do not have anything for executive session unless you go in. Okay. Everybody good? Okay. Because I do not have any recommendations.
There being no further business, the regular morning meeting of 10 last year now adjourned.
What am I supposed to do with this Honda air filter?
That has nothing to do with that stuff.